Welcome to Middlesex Moments, the radio program and podcast produced by faculty, staff, and students at Middlesex Community College. I'm Adrienne Maslin, Dean of Students at the college, and your host for today's show. As always, Middlesex Moments comes to you from the radio and television studios in the Center for New Media, located on the main campus of Middlesex Community College in Middletown. With me today are my guests, Dr. Donna Bontatibus, Professor of English, and Jill Harris, Adjunct Instructor of College Success. Thank you both for being here today. Today's show is devoted to a course that is taught by many colleges in the Connecticut State Colleges and Universities system. It's taught by colleges in other parts of our state and at colleges and universities throughout the country. It is usually required of students during their first semester of college and is sometimes called freshman year experience, first year seminar, freshman seminar, college success, or any one of a number of other titles. And the thing that we all have in common is that we all teach it. So I'm wondering if you can start off by telling the audience about the concept behind this type of course and why it might be valuable for entering students. Donna, could we start with you?
Sure. I think for all three of us, this course is very near and dear to all of us because we've been teaching it for so long. But Adrienne, as you had mentioned earlier, this particular first-year experience concept has been around probably 25, 30 plus years. And it's a movement that really was across the United States. And we've been very fortunate to have a long history with one here at Middlesex Community College. So our course is really designed as part of that ability to help students transition successfully to their first semester, their first year of college, because we know that there are a lot of challenges that could come up that really would be a pivotal point for them to determine whether or not they can move forward or how well they're doing. So for our course here, we call it College and Career Success. COL 101, we primarily do three things, designed all to help our students be more successful, not only their first semester, but their subsequent semesters and across the curriculum. The first is that we provide an extended orientation for our students through the classes. And we provide, as you well know, many years, a nice orientation package for our students to experience when they arrive on our campus, even over the summers or during intersession. But we know that sometimes it's a lot to take in and they might need points where that's reemphasized for them. So the College Success course is set up to sort of extend that out a little bit, to keep them reacquainted with some of the services and the facilities and the people that they had a chance to meet at the orientation, especially. So they'll have projects and things that are connected to that. The second thing that we help with them as well, is to enhance their ability to be successful, is to sort of teach them college success skills. It can be soft skills, it could be more concrete skills, it could be intangible skills, but those would be skills like understanding what their learning styles are, what their teachers' teaching styles happen to be, lessons on goal setting, prioritization, time management. It could be things that are very concrete like study strategies, reading comprehension strategies, test taking, anything that could help them do better in their classes if they have a better understanding of how to prioritize their time, work with their new scheduling, which they may be doing for the first time for many students who are transitioning from high school. And then the third thing that we help students do as part of our College and Career Success is just that. We introduce them to the variety of different majors and career potentials. And we can do that through our own programming here at Middlesex, everything from accounting to veterinary technology. We give opportunity for the students to meet some of the program coordinators. We give them a chance to meet our career counselors and some of the administration and staff here on campus. We encourage them attending certain events that are designed essentially to give them more information about the different careers and majors here so they can make a better informed decision about what they want to do. So for us, it's those really three key concepts: extended orientation, an introduction to a variety of different college success skills that can help them across the curriculum, and then last and importantly, of course, is the major and career exploration piece so they can really plot out their schedules.
Thank you, Donna, for that comprehensive response. Right now, it's time for a short break, and when we come back, we'll spend more time with Dr. Donna Bontatibus and with Jill Harris. This is Middlesex Moments from Middlesex Community College. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Middlesex Moments, coming to you from Middlesex Community College. This is Adrienne Maslin, together with my guests, Donna Bontatibus and Jill Harris. So before the break, we were talking about what we often call freshman seminar or first-year experience courses. Here at Middlesex, we call it College and Career Success. Jill, I know you've taught these courses for many years. How do you define success?
Yes. Well, when I'm looking at building the course, one of the questions that I ask myself is, if you're going to be great at baseball, then essentially you want to learn to swing the bat well, right, so that you can hit the ball. So what is an equivalent core skill to success that applies to both college success and career success? And what I've identified is that it's essentially building the habit of setting and achieving goals. And so everything we work on begins to build that habit and that skill so that we not only have goals, but we achieve them, and we regularly achieve them, and therefore we know we are successful on a daily basis. And then we can take that foundation of success and build it into larger and larger goals and more complex goals. So, this plays out in a different way for every single student, because every student comes in with different goals and different circumstances. So sometimes it's fairly straightforward. For example, I had a student return after having raised a family, and her goal was to enter the healthcare profession. So she was very clear about that. She ran into some difficulties along the way, so she wasn't up to speed on technology. So some assignments where she had the intelligence to complete them were still much more time-consuming, much more difficult, and a little bit demoralizing for her because she had to learn Word, she had to learn PowerPoint, she had to learn things that her peers often already knew. And so she got to a point where, she had a bit of a crisis, and she could either give up and return to a life that was comfortable, but was not going to have her accomplish her goal.
Sure.
Or she could stay up late at night and learn PowerPoint and get her oral presentation done and weather that frustration. And she did make the choice to put in that effort, to persevere. She passed the class with flying colors. And in that example, I got a little bit of a bonus that you don't always get as a teacher, which is that I, about 5 years later, was sitting in Quest Diagnostics on Old Saybrook Road, and the phlebotomist came to the door and called my name, and it was my former student.
Very nice.
And she was so happy to be in her new profession. It was exactly what she had hoped for, and she was so glad that she had taken the class. And so that's really a clear success story, right?
Sure.
She had a goal, she persevered, she achieved the goal. But of course, it doesn't always play out that well in life or that simply in life. And other students face more complicated circumstances through often no fault of their own. So another student that I had, again, came into the class, had a very clear goal. She wanted to enter law enforcement. And so she had broken that down into some goals that she felt she could achieve. A long-term goal being to graduate from Middlesex with her criminal justice major. And within the semester, she identified the goal of getting a gun permit. And this was going to involve getting a mentor and actually having to learn she had to purchase the gun, she had to learn how to use it. There were many steps involved. And she was incredibly bright, incredibly determined, always participated, always completed her assignments on time and above and beyond what was asked for, took thorough notes and helped her peers. Everything that was in her control, she did excellently. But about midway through the semester, she had a young child who had a health crisis and was hospitalized. And so now suddenly she's dealing with having to care for this sick child and continue to do her work. But she did that. But then, as often happens, things begin to snowball.
Right.
And for a variety of reasons, she soon found herself homeless. And if you've ever been in that situation, you realize that multiplies the problems. Now there's a problem with transportation. Now there's a problem with getting a computer. And then in her case, she could no longer find an adult that she trusted to take care of her children. And that was the breaking point for her. So she had to decide, am I going to continue with my education and put my children in the care of people I don't fully trust? Or am I going to set new goals and reframe my life? And so she used the work we had done on creating goals that are based on your values to decide that the most important value at that moment was her children. And that meant she was going to pause her education. But she kind of integrated the college success class so that she could frame that in a way that would still allow her to set and achieve goals and keep moving forward. And she actually took her textbook and she made a daily planner for herself. And every morning, and she also stayed in communication with me for about 2 years as she did this. And so she would email me and tell me, that each day she got up, she took out her book, and she set a goal for herself, and she set goals for her children. She would work through until she achieved them, and then she would begin again the next day. And so her long-term goal of entering law enforcement, I hope someday I'll meet her on the street and she'll be in her career of choice. I have not been in touch with her recently, but I think that is still a success story.
Absolutely.
That she could continue to solve the problems that were in front of her, to move forward, to take care of the truly important things. So
it sounds like, from what you're saying, that many of our students who we teach in these college success courses have very different needs and very different goals, which is typical of community college students. How do we design a college success course that helps all students achieve their goals, as disparate as those goals might be? And I'm sure this is a problem that many professors who teach other subjects have as well. You have students in the class who are not really at quite the same level, and they're all taking the class for different purposes. And how do we, but focusing on the college success course, how do we help all students achieve what they need to be successful in college? And I turn that over to either of you.
I think one of the things, Jill's stories were very compelling and they were instrumental in showing how valuable the course can be depending on the student's circumstances. But I think one of the things that we attempt to do, and I think we do well, is that we have special programming geared for different populations. Now, it might not cover everyone in the gamut that Adrienne, you've taught the honors program of the college success course, so that certainly meets the needs of the particular population. Right. Jill works a lot with not only our first semester students, but also our programming with the packages that we run with adult education too. So for there, sometimes we see a little bit of an older student, maybe the non-traditional, and some of those types of issues come to mind when we see them. I sometimes work with students who are right out of high school. Right. In our TYP program, which is our transitional year program, so it's for students who place at the more like intensive or developmental level who need a little bit more academic support in the classroom. So those would be 3 ways that we could attempt to reach a varied audience, a very disparate audience with a variety of different needs. Now, even in our more generic sections of college success, a lot of the skills and the goals that Jill were talking about can be adopted to the students' individual situations. So instructors can work more independently with them on that. So they might learn the broader skill of prioritization and goal setting and how to tackle a problem, or to use their critical thinking skills to work through something in the problem-solving realm. But they would just apply it to their own life situation there. I could ask Adrienne and Jill, in terms of your experiences too with the adult ed and honors programs, about meeting the needs of those students too.
Jill?
Yeah, well, one of the things I love is that in the very first chapter of the textbook, there's a section on Art Costa's Habits for Success. And he's identified, there's 11 in the textbook, of these core habits that all successful people found in the research he did on success. And so by beginning with these core skills of persistence and listening and communication and inquiring and anticipating, and then building our goals around these core habits, I think you have kind of an alphabet for success that people are able to use as tools in virtually any situation.
I do know that I find the honors program to be a little bit different, and we will talk about that perhaps a little bit when we get back from our break. So it is again time for a short break, and when we come back, we'll have more on the topic of college success courses with our guests Donna Bontatibus and Jill Harris. This is Middlesex Moments from Middlesex Community College. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Middlesex Moments, coming to you from Middlesex Community College. This is Adrienne Maslin, together with my two guests, Dr. Donna Bontatibus and Jill Harris. And we are continuing a conversation regarding college success courses. So before the break, we were talking about how we might be able to address the needs of all of our students, even though some of them come to us with very different concerns and goals for their college careers. And I was about to talk about the course that I teach for honors students, which I run a little bit differently. For my course, I focus on a specific theme, and that is the brain and how the brain works, and how our knowledge of how the brain works can help us in our college success, in developing better study habits and developing better reading skills and time management skills. My favorite example to give is that we have 100 billion neurons in the brain, and some of these neurons take information in and some of them push information out. And I like to give the example that when students use techniques for studying that draw information in, such as reading a textbook or reading over one's notes, that does not help to build the neuronal system that is needed to push information out for an exam. So if students, when they're studying, do practice exams, that helps strengthen the neurons that push that information out onto an exam. Or if they teach it to somebody else, a parent or a grandparent, or maybe even their dog, it will then help solidify that neural connection so that they can get the information out. So that's kind of what we teach. And even though the students have very different goals, I think my sense is that all of them can use that, that they all need that sort of work and knowledge and study skills. We do get into some differentiation when it comes to final projects, where depending on what we're doing that year, they have the discretion to choose a topic that really helps them focus on some specific goal that they have. But it leads me into a question about the type of theme-based courses that we sometimes offer. So mine deals with the brain, but we have offered a number of other theme-based college success courses. I'm wondering, Donna, if you can speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, over the years, we've offered several different types of theme one. We're fortunate to have your brain-based one, which was nice for the students to learn that vantage point about learning. But we've also offered ones that dealt with civic engagement. We have an Office of Civic Engagement here on our campus, and we're a community college, so we love to emphasize the importance of community. So a lot of times in the civic engagement course, students know upon coming in that there'll be some type of component that'll integrate some type of community project where they'll work in the community doing something. And we have guest speakers coming into the class itself. It's a little bit of a service learning edge. We'll have guest speakers from the community coming in. They'll work with their instructors in terms of identifying some type of community project. And nothing hugely major, but something that could be integrated into the class. That's certainly an outside class component. And they'll walk through and do a report at the end of the semester, and it helps them just be more civically minded, be aware of some of the needs of the community and actually they're assessing their own skill sets too and what they can provide the community. So it's helpful also for resume building in addition to building those collaborative skills, those independent skills, responsibility, working with others. So there's many nice elements to the civic engagement course that we run.
And there are certainly data that show that when students are civically engaged, they tend to be more successful in college. So.
That's absolutely right, and we've been fortunate to be really on the forefront of a lot of that civic engagement movement here on campus.
Right.
But the students are working through many of their program coordinators who also have civic projects, or just directly through the community. So it's many nice things. We've also done one on sustainability as well, where students, because we also are very sustainably minded
Right.
here on campus with many of the things that we do. So we had a class one time, theme-based, where students, again, had guest speakers, not only from our college, but from the community as well, that talked about sustainability, what it is, what they can do individually, what we can do as a community to try to maintain our resources and respect our environment a lot more. So students not only had projects that they would do on campus, but they could also do projects with the community as well. Maybe they're going in and cleaning up something in the environment,
Right.
or they're going somewhere to help on, teach people about different waste management, variety of different things. And that seemed to really hit a nice strain on campus for students who enjoyed those types of activity. It didn't have to be for any student in a major. You think, maybe someone in science would enjoy that. Well, that's true, but there were students outside of those disciplines who really just felt very strongly and passionate
Right.
about those particular things. So those are the two. Oh, we also did one on leadership as well. In
Yes.
fact, you did one on
I did
leadership
one.
as well for the honors students. So we did it both at the honors level, which I'll have you speak to, and then we also did it with just first semester students who are coming in, just teaching them different leadership styles, different leadership skills, how they can develop that themselves, meeting
Right.
some leaders on campus and in the community.
Right, and that was similar to what we did with the honors course. That course I co-taught with Steve Minkler, who is our campus chief executive officer, and he's dean of academic affairs. And this was our very first honors cohort, and it was a lot of fun. We had a great time. We used a couple of different, not textbooks, but different course materials for that, and really trying to emphasize the fact that in whatever way our personality leads us, we still have the ability to lead. And I think the students found that very eye-opening. It was something that many of them didn't really envision themselves as leaders when they came into the class, but they did when they left the class. But now I know both of you have been very involved in our transitions program with Middletown Adult Education. Donna, I'm wondering if you can tell us more about the transitions program in general, and Jill, I'm wondering if you can tell us about the specific college success course that you teach through that program, whether there are any differences from the ones you teach at the college. But Donna, perhaps you can give us first a general
Sure.
sense of what that program is.
I'm happy to do so. A few years ago, it was in spring of 2015, we launched some partnerships, and some of them we already had existing with 3 adult education providers in our community, Middletown Adult Ed, Meriden Adult Ed, and Wallingford Adult Education. And the nice thing is we had some resources that we can share. They were budgeted resources, but students could use not only our facilities, but the facilities at Adult Ed. So what we ended up doing, it was targeted for what we define here as transitional strategies, students who don't quite place in college level. So they're coming in needing more foundational skills in math and English, and of course some support skills that Jill will talk about with the college success. So we identify those students largely through placement testing. And we offer them a package that they could fundamentally do in a fall or spring semester. It runs generally 10 to 12 weeks with adult education. There are courses, so they can take potentially an English and math non-credit workshop. So they'll essentially be refreshers in math and English. They could retake the placement test at the end of those workshops to see if they can place up a level. Or even if they didn't place up a level, especially for students who've been out of school for a while or struggled in high school, they can go into the courses where they were placed much stronger
Right.
than not having
Right.
those skill sets at all. And the nice thing is we link it with a college success course that Jill will talk a little bit about. So we offer those packages. We've been fortunate to be able to offer those packages no charge to the students, and we're finding very good results with them.
Yeah, that's terrific.
Yeah, so in the transitions class, one of the things I love is that if you look in the textbook that accompanies the class, the definition of intelligence is the ability to solve problems in a specific context. And so in academics, we're solving problems in the context of academics, and often what that looks like is that it's very verbal, or in the case of math, it's very mathematical. And one of the things that we work on in transitions is learning styles. And what I've found over the years of teaching it is that when we do the learning styles assessments, I think in all the years of teaching transitions, the only one or two students has had a learning style that is either verbal or mathematical. Most of the students in transitions are, they have musical intelligence, they have bodily kinesthetic intelligence, they have, all these different ways of processing information. And so by including that unit, they begin to be able to take their style of learning, which often isn't the style of academics, and find their own ways of studying and processing that verbal and mathematical information in a way that's more natural to them. So an example would be a highly visual learner I had who was not doing any of her work in the class at the beginning because she was not highly verbal. And once we did the learning styles, she began to kind of scrapbook her notes and find a way that she loved doing her notes.
So I'm being given the cue that it's time to wrap up here. This half hour has flown by, and we didn't get to all of the topics I was hoping to talk about. So maybe at some point I can have both of you back to continue this conversation.
Sounds great, yeah.
But in the meantime, I would like to thank Donna Bontatibus and Jill Harris for joining me today. And I want to thank you, our listeners, for joining us for another edition of Middlesex Moments. As always, you're welcome to visit us in person at our main campus, located at 100 Training Hill Road in Middletown, or at our Meriden Center, located at Platt High School at 220 Coe Avenue, where we offer afternoon and evening classes 4 days a week. And of course, you can visit us online 24/7 at MxCC.edu. For Middlesex Community College, I'm Adrienne Maslin. We hope to see you again soon.